Yeah, so why don't I'm gonna, if it's okay with everybody, I thought we would kind of start with a little bit of a text study of looking at where this, what Judaism has to say about this, about really when we have these attitudes, especially, the challenges of the pandemic is, I mean, actually the whole reason I put up the courtyard, which I think I told you, Marjorie, was early on when this whole thing began, everyone was just kind of wanting to be in the past, the way things were. No one wanted to be here in the present, and we couldn't even imagine the future. And so I said, you know something? You really have to learn how to be here, and then you can be excited about the future. It's Rabbi Harold Kushner's whole idea of like, you're not supposed to ask the why question, but the when question of how do you stay present in the moment to affect your present to try to affect the future. And it's really not a wait, is this the one I want to open? Yeah, there we go. Um, it's not a new idea. It's a very old idea. So I wanted to kind of draw our attention here to the Talmud. Um, and so this is from the Babylonian Talmud. So I'm in the Gemara. So this is now the year 600. So a few years ago, they wrote this thing. Um, and if we read through here, this I let's read through it. The Gemara quotes additional statements from the book of Ben Sira. Do not suffer from tomorrow's trouble. That is, do not worry about problems that might arise in the future, as you do not know what a day will bring. Perhaps, when tomorrow comes, the individual who was so worried will not be among the living. And he was consequently upset over a world that is not his. So that's the first part. We'll get to the second part in a second. But does anyone have any reactions to this first part that we find in the Talmud of what you think they're trying to get to us? And I will just keep talking. Um, so it's really, the Gemara and the rabbis are deeply interested in us being here because oftentimes when we don't have control over our present, we're so worried about the future and we start, I guess, our modern day, we future trip about it. And the reality is you have no control over it. And they take it to the point of like, you don't even actually know if you're going to be alive tomorrow. Hopefully you will be, but at some point you won't be. And so don't waste your time being there because you're going to miss being here. So that's the first thing, like they're going to sit there and try to hammer down to you when you're in a state of, well, basically in all of life, but I think it heightens itself when you're in a deeper state of chaos. And the second part, I think you have to flip upside down to really understand what the rabbis are trying to get at. Prevent a crowd from inside your house, and I don't think they're socially distancing here. Um, do not let many people enter, and do not even bring all your friends into your house. Make sure, however, that a crowd seeks your welfare and that you have many allies. Reveal a secret to only one in 1,000, since most people are unable to keep a secret. And so on the second part, I think there's a dichotomy. On one level, what they're playing with here is you need to have your own space, but you also can't be alone. There's an understanding that you're not actually, and this plays throughout all over rabbinic Judaism, is that you're not able to live alone. You actually have to live in community. You need people around you to guide you in the right direction because you don't always know the right way to go. And inside that, you can't just have all these acquaintances around of you, but you also need depth inside of your life. You actually need that one person which you can just reveal everything. And so there's the balance of the depth with individual people, but also to make sure you have a larger group around you to kind of help carry you forward. And so with that, I'm gonna pass it back over to Marjorie because really, what we're going to be looking at tonight is looking at these feelings of helplessness, of isolation, of fear, of the unknown, and what do we do in all of that? And a major part of this is actually staying here, but also what I love is that all of you have logged on here, is that we know that we can't do these things alone. It actually takes us coming together as a kahal, as a community, to learn from one another, to really try to figure out how do we, instead of trying to imagine the future, learn how to be in this today so we can build a much better future.
And to take it from you then, Ryan, to be here now and make sure our kids are here with us. So that's where I come in. That, everything Ryan said, I absolutely agree with, and it's so poignant for right now where we are. Um, and so just a little bit of housekeeping. I'm going to speak, and then we're going to have a Q&A afterwards. But I want to add to that Q&A that, if anybody has a discussion point, that we can talk about briefly that would make them feel better, that, allow them to um, cope better, then please bring it up if you feel comfortable, because this is scary stuff, and the pandemic is continuing, and so any feelings are important, and I just want to stress that. So let's start. Okay, so this pandemic has been an unprecedented and exhausting experience for all of us. Yet each of us has our own way of dealing with it. We have our own personal experience around it, including our emotions, frustrations, anger, and coping skills. And our children are no different than we are. We are very aware that all of our children, especially school-age children from kindergarten to 12th grade, from freshman year in college on, have been severely impacted by the pandemic. But each individual child has had their own personal experience. Parenting during this time is not easy, as we have never faced anything like these challenges in our lifetime. And the bottom line is, we need to do the best we can with the information we have. And that's very important, the best we can. Don't make yourself be perfect. Don't make yourself be superhuman. Do the best you can with what you've got. I hope the bits of information that I will share with you this evening will give you some added insight into how you can best support your children and teens during this time. And I hope you will remember the first and most important bit of information that I will share with you now. And it is, as parents, you must make sure that you are taking the best care of yourself at all times, because it is you that your kids are looking to for all the support, modeling, reassurance, and that takes a lot of energy. So please, please, please make sure that you are taking time to get away from everyone, step into another room, go to the garage, whatever you need to do. Take some time for yourself. Sleep well, eat well, exercise, engage in mindfulness exercises, and most of all, be in touch with those who support you. Be in touch with those who recharge you, because when you're recharged, then you will be recharging your children, and you will be taking the best care that you can of them. So these times of stress and uncertainty are incredibly huge for all of us. And a secure family environment, which parents can provide, is a strong protective factor. There is evidence to show that parental practices and coping measures affect children's mental health. So parents need to respond to the needs of their children based on the developmental phase of each child. So we're going to start with children and then discuss teens. Oops, sorry. I'm sorry, I'm missing a page. This pandemic has been an unprecedented and an exhausting experience for all of us. Oops, sorry, I apologize. Children's responses to COVID are unique and varied. Some may be irritable or clingy, while others may regress, demand extra attention, or have difficulty with self-care, sleeping, and eating. These behaviors are natural responses, and we as adults can help them by showing empathy, patience, and by calmly setting limits where they are needed. To create a safe physical and emotional environment, practice the 3 R's: reassurance, routines, and regulation. Adults should reassure children about their safety, and we will get into that more in a second. Adults should also maintain routines to provide children with a sense of safety and predictability. For example, regular bedtimes, regular meal times, daily schedules for learning or play. And adults should support children's development of regulation. When children are stressed, their bodies respond by activating their stress response system. To help them manage their reactions, it is important to validate their feelings. For example, I know this might be feeling very scary for you. You might be feeling very overwhelmed. And encourage them to engage in activities that help them self-regulate, such as exercise, deep breathing, mindfulness, meditation, and again, regular routines for eating and sleeping. Also, it's essential for children's emotional and physical well-being to ensure that families can meet the basic needs of food, shelter, and clothing. Keep your children very busy. When children are bored, their levels of worry and disruptive behaviors may increase. Provide options for safe activities such as outside play, blocks, art, music, or games, and involve them in creating other activities. It is important that children have plenty of time to engage in play without worrying or talking at all about the pandemic. Emphasize strength and positivity. Children need to feel safe and secure and positive about their present and their future. Keep any narratives positive and hopeful. Children, as we all do, suffer from anxiety. All children experience powerful emotions that they may or may not exhibit. Some children have a lot of energy, and if they're anxious, that energy translates into more energy. So we don't recognize that there's been a big change. Many children have fears and worries and may feel sad and hopeless from time to time. That's the other side of anxiety. That there are children who will add to their energy, and there are children who will have less energy, and you will notice that they're not moving, they're not wanting to engage in anything. So those are the two sides of this anxiety. The pandemic has challenged the way we live our lives. The treatment for anxiety is to learn how to manage fear and uncertainty. Much of the anxiety that kids experience is passed down from worried parents. We need to be modeling for our kids how to react to stressful times by coping with anxiety in healthy ways. One way to do this is to focus on what is actually happening now, as Ryan said, staying in the present, and to not let ourselves go into the worst case scenarios. If we model calm, then our children will be calm. If we model catastrophic thinking, then our children will exhibit the effects of catastrophic thinking. When kids are feeling anxious, there may be more than one type of expression of anxiety, as I said. It could look like, are we going to be okay? Are our grandparents going to be okay? This is reassurance thinking. There can be, parents should tell children that they can take some control in this pandemic. This is reassurance. This is telling them that they have the power to control parts of this. And that's really reassuring to a kid who feels so helpless. They can tell them that they can help, parents can tell their kids that they can help them practice safety in the house by washing hands and socially distancing and wearing their masks. And this will allow them to maintain safety in the household so that others will not get sick, that others will be able to continue doing what they do because these children have helped them, to not get sick. Also, parents can include children in planning family activities. that allow the family to engage in good times, positive times, productive times, activities such as cooking or creating games for the family to play or coming up with special snacks that the family will enjoy. This allows the children to own the experience, own what's going on, and it's not kept a secret from them. It's not kept as something that's separate from them, that they're a part of this family and everybody is working to maintain safety and good health. Things to look out for are children tantruming or being more irritable than usual. Being defiant or acting out may be signs of anxiety. Choose a quiet time to gently ask how they're feeling and make sure to respond to outbursts in a calm, consistent, and comforting way. Children want to be reassured that things will be okay and will not change from how they used to be, especially in their nuclear family. While there are external, external changes, reassure your child that all is well at home now, and your focus is the family and keeping everyone safe and sound. To summarize, we have already spent a year in this pandemic space. We are all suffering COVID fatigue, and children are aware of how fatigued they actually are. We need to constantly continue to reassure our children about their concerns. Whatever these concerns are, be clear, transparent, and age appropriate in your responses to these concerns. Children should never have to guess if you're telling them the truth. Trust is key during these unsettling times. Children are also confused by the frustrations and fears that they are experiencing. Listen carefully to their concerns. Ask good questions. And again, respond in a gentle, caring, honest way. Structure and routine, as we discussed, are extremely important. Communicate to your child what their days look like and what they should expect from each day. And each day, you can provide something new or a little different to keep them from getting bored. Model calmness and peacefulness for your children. This behavior will be reflected back to you. Exercise and meditation will allow your children to work through and remove themselves from any stressors they are experiencing. And I know that some people say meditation, my child, how does that work? Do the two go together? Children love new things. They love to watch you as their parent maintain a pose of meditation, and then they'll try it. And it may, your meditation may be 20 minutes and your child's maybe 20 seconds, but it's still a time out and it's still a time of quiet, and they know it, and they know what quiet feels like, and it can grow from that point. Make all of these activities a part of your family's fun time. Make sure you're having fun. So that's the most important part. We don't want this time in our life to be heavily affected by seriousness. It is a serious time, and children do know that this is a serious time. So we have to remind them that fun still exists, that we can go have a picnic in our backyard or in our living room. You know, we can have a circus come to our house by being creative. We can have a play because we're going to be the characters in the play. So there are a lot of ways to lighten the COVID experience for your kids and take care of your family that way too. Now I'm going to move to teenagers. As I said, no child fits all these rules because when it comes to age appropriateness, it's really key here. And so with teens, the first things to remember are that they are responding to this COVID experience the best way they know how. Teens are experiencing a tremendous loss due to school closures and social distancing. School is really a stabilizing force for teens. It offers structure and social aspects that are no longer available to them. They've missed milestones. They've missed dances. They've missed graduations. They've missed dating. They've missed, girlfriends and boyfriends. They've missed teachers, one-on-ones with teachers. They've missed hands-on. They've missed sports. They will never get any of that back. They report feelings of denial, anger, depression, and for some, acceptance. That is the way it is. The acceptance is about that this is the way it is, and I'll deal with it. I'll just go along and see what happens. But it's not moving forward. It's resignation. We need to give special support to these kids, and we need to treat them as if they're grieving. And there are stages. I'm sure some of you know that there are stages of grief, and we need to acknowledge those stages of grief, which are denial, anger, bargaining, depression, and acceptance. So in the teen world, they're denying the virus is bad. They don't want it to be bad. They don't want to be stuck in the house. They don't want to be unable to be with their friends. They don't want to be unable to miss these major moments in their lives. And it's according to them, they will resist it. It will not happen, but it is. And it's very difficult for them. Thus, they become angry. And they're angry that they're missing these events. They're angry that they're missing moments that they've been counting on for years. I'm going to be a high school senior. I'm going to be a freshman. I'm going to move from 8th grade into high school. I'm a new person, but I'm sitting in my house. Or I'm going to be a sophomore now, and I can get rid of that freshman feeling. And no, I'm in my house. So there's a lot of loss here, a lot of anger around it. And then being depressed is the next effect that happens. And they're depressed about these lost experiences and the time that they would have had with people and the time they would have had as a student in the school that they want to be in, or just learning in a different environment than they have to learn in now. And then for some of them, there is acceptance, and acceptance can differ for many kids. Acceptance can be, okay, this is what's going on, and I'm going to figure out how I can do what I like to do using the internet, or do what I like to do using my parents, or I'm just going to work on my guitar playing on my own. And then there are those who I said are resigned and waiting out the pandemic. And when you see that, it's really important to monitor what you're seeing in your child, because even as they're teens, they're not 100% confident of what they're feeling and what to do about it. And so if you see a teen, who is not behaving as you know them to behave, sit down with them one-on-one, give them your time, give them your attention, and very gently ask them how life is for them. How are things going? What do you need from me? They need a lot of support. A lot of them will not ask for it. And so the fact that you're asking them is really wonderful for each of them. There is limited opportunity for them to experience their adolescence and form their identities. Their independence and developing the typical work of an adolescent is asserting and exploring their independence and developing individual identity. Kids are missing specific growth markers, as we talked about, which causes confusion and a sense of loss. Sports, clubs, theater, and arts provide kids with the ability to discover and indulge their passions, meet people, develop new friend groups, socialize, as a way to build identity. The cancellation of these activities has left behind a deep loss of both day-to-day experience of these activities and the socialization and life-defining moments they provide. Kids know what they're missing. They've been looking forward to them for these things for years, as I said. While in isolation, it's important to help your teen to differentiate and develop their identity, whether at home or online. Projects, activities, and online research can help them continue to explore their interests and passions. Each teen must be allowed to deal with their emotions in their own way. No two teens will experience these things alike. They have created their own toolkits, knowingly or unknowingly, to help them deal with this crisis. Technology appears to be the most used tool in their kit, as most of us know. Social media, texting, video chats with friends, TikTok, and YouTube are popular, but nothing replaces the person-to-person connection. While we don't encourage overuse of technology, we have to remember that technology is truly a coping mechanism right now, and we're allowing kids to use it more than we used to because they need it. Because they need to connect with each other, because they need to distract from what's going on. They need it. There are other kids who aren't technologically motivated, and you will find that they will be the ones who are hiking, walking, doing art, cooking, creating music, and sleeping. Most teens are sleeping. It's important to encourage the teens who are technologically prone to get out, take walks, do different things, and explore other avenues. And for those who only get out and hike and do those types of activities, it's okay for them to be encouraged to do a little bit online, to see friends, to create a social life online, because they are missing their friends. They need each other. Teens have reported that chatting with friends, being with family, scrolling through social media, being outside exercising, and gaming all contributed to them experiencing a positive mood. Teens have also reported that school, online or in person, scrolling through social media, being with family, and gaming also contributed to negative mood. So again, it's really important as parents for us to monitor our children, our teens, behavior. To understand that one day being with the family can be a positive experience and affect our mood positively, but then the next day being with family can create a negative mood. Check in with your teen, watch them, observe what's going on within the family, because each day will bring different behaviors. It's important to have honest and open conversations with your teen about how they're feeling, how they're experiencing life during COVID. It is important to discuss how their activities are working for them. Is their tech use benefiting them, or does it cause them to spiral as a result of too much information, or even become a quote unquote addiction from trying to distract from boredom or other feelings? We need to help our teens recognize the warning signs of tech overuse and consciously choose more positive alternatives. As we know, teens are studying both in school and remotely. The teens who are studying remotely have more of a responsibility toward their education. And what we're finding is a lot of teens are going on various apps, doing a little shopping, or just drawing, whatever it is, online while they're supposed to be in school. And there are also teens who just don't show up online. So we really need to monitor how they're using their online experience, the responsibilities they're taking. They just need to be encouraged, because what they don't understand, they think sometimes they think it's kind of a break. And that when we get out of the pandemic, things will go back to normal and they can make up and go back to school. But this is real stuff. This is real school. And so we really have to just support them in this process, check in with them, make sure that they understand what is important here, what their commitments are, and make sure they're doing at least the basics of what is necessary to get through school. They are bored, they're depressed, and they're lonely. And excuse me, punishment is not going to work with them because they're already feeling COVID punished. So make sure that when you're having conversations about what is expected, or maybe what your disappointments are, that you do it in a gentle way so that you together can come up with a positive solution on how to work through these issues. You have to live together, you have to work together. And so this is a really important method to use so that things between you and your teen maintain a peacefulness, an understanding, a respect. It's all about letting them know that we understand that this is a very difficult time for them, and we respect them for going through this, and we will help them through it with respect and gentleness. Families are also playing larger roles in how teens are feeling. Spending more time at meals with families, family movie nights, games, and open and honest discussions about what is occurring around them. These are really welcome and feel very safe to teens. So don't think that, oh, they may be overwhelmed by family. They'll let you know. If they're feeling overwhelmed, they'll be in their room. They won't come out. And then again, you have to monitor that too. If they're spending too much time, then we don't want them to isolate too much. But if they're spending the right amount of time, the expected amount of time for a teen, that doesn't change whether there's pandemic or not pandemic, respect that, respect their space. They'll feel safe and comfortable that way. In some cases where there's less stability in a home, it's harder for a teen to have a sense of security and comfort. And it's a struggle for them to try and maintain a feeling of normalcy. So creating stability and foundation in communication and in their physical space is very, very important. They need that. They won't tell you that, but they need it. Now, I just want to go over a few basic points of being a parent of a teen. I won't spend too much time on this, but just the fact that you as parents are really modeling. I mean, we talked about how you're modeling for your younger children. You're creating a peaceful atmosphere so they can feel peace. Well, with a teen, you're doing the same thing, except that they know more. And so you are teaching them, they know what the pandemic is about. And so you can teach them how you are coping with it. How you are managing your emotions around it. You can teach them about problem solving around the pandemic. And it gives them a sense of control. It gives them a sense of, again, respect. And it gives them a sense of inclusion in the family, where you are open to their feelings and open to them offering up what they think, and you're giving credence to them. Teens are expected, as we know, as I just said, to have better knowledge about COVID, and therefore you need to really make sure that you're listening to them and knowing that the knowledge they think they have is accurate. There's so many stories that are out there about how this happens and that happens, and we really want to stick with what we believe in. I can't tell you what you're going to do in your family, but stick to what you believe in and share that with your children and make sure that they understand it. Because you having not trusting what's going on is very difficult for a teen, and getting the information from those they trust, being you, their parents, is really important. This is also an opportunity for teens to learn how to be a little bit more responsible around the house, collaborate with you parents, and it's encourage the kids or the teens to talk to you about what their interests are, and maybe you can join in their interests, or you can do something in the house that honors what they're interested in. If they enjoy plants, if then grow. If they think it would be cool to grow vegetables or whatever, but support their interests and make it a family event. And it just honors the family and the collaboration that entails. Allow your, well, this is kind of in keeping with this. Allow creative pursuits. If your teen wants to start painting, if your teen wants to start writing, encourage that. Make sure that you can get whatever they need, or at least close to what they need to do so, so that they're able to lose themselves in their passions and forget about the pandemic for a moment or more. And make sure that you are clear with your teen about the hygiene and rules around the pandemic. Again, they don't want to believe that they have to adhere to all the rules because they're young and they're healthy. But it's very important that they know that, these things can affect others, not just themselves. And so really drive home the point in a very gentle but meaningful way about washing hands and wearing the mask and social distancing. Don't threaten a teen with, oh, well, you're going to get your grandparents sick or something like that. That's not effective and not fair. But they need to know that they carry a responsibility in this world, and they own part of this control by doing these things, and it's empowering. So, and make sure that your teens are seeing their friends. If you find that your teen is spending more time in their room and not seeing friends as far as you can tell, make sure that they're seeing friends. And even if you have to go to a park and have a friend at the other side of the park, or socially distance, make sure that they have that connection. It's so important. It's re-energizing. It re-energizes them. It makes them feel that there is a certain amount of normalcy, that they still have their friends and they still can have fun or connect. And but make sure that they are connecting. It's so important. And again, I'm going to reinforce this idea of not punishing your kids during pandemic. Of course, there are consequences, always. Just make sure that they're a little more gentle than they have been. Make sure that there's an understanding and a clarity of what's expected of your teen, and so they know and and then if the rule is broken, you can go back and remind them that they know and and then you can talk about it. You can create an understanding and a resolution together. And finally, parents, you need to, again, be taking care of you. It is tough to parent teens under normal circumstances. And here we are in a pandemic. and you have to guide them, and you have to understand them, and you have to listen, and there's so much that you have to do. So truly make sure that you are caring for your needs. Make sure that you are getting what you need, and make sure that you are getting timeouts and lots of rest. And finally, exercise and mindfulness. It's good for all of you. You know, as a family, you can go take a walk. As a family, you can go outside to a park. You can be creative. And mindfulness, it just allows your children and teens to understand the space that they can create for themselves when they need it. And part of mindfulness is breathing, because if you can teach your child or your teen to breathe and monitor their breath, it is meditative. So they're creating calm for themselves by breathing slowly and counting, and then it's creating calm because of this meditative effect. So I just want to summarize really quickly about teens and the little things that we can do to make life better for them and therefore yourselves. Be honest, so important. You never want them to think that you're not being honest. It will cause more stress and anxiety. So be clear with them that you're being honest with them. Be transparent about everything that you can be that is age appropriate, so that they know that you're not keeping secrets from them, which is a little different than being honest, because they want to know that they don't have to worry. Are things really okay? Are mom and dad, not telling me everything? So that kind of transparency, it's very important. And share your own feelings, again, in an age appropriate way, so that they know that you're human. They know that you're feeling your way through this, and that at times you feel vulnerable. But again, it's all about the age of your child or teen, and you know them best. Be a great listener. Give it time, give them space, and just be with them. You will hear things that you probably have never heard before if you just sit with them and just be around them. Control what you can, which isn't much. So let them know that. And let them know that you're in this together, and that you will work together to make this a time in their lives that is the best it can be right now, and that you're doing your best to control this for them. Keep healthy routines. They need it. They need structure. They need to know that this is happening at this time and they can expect it, because surprises during the pandemic are not great. If things change radically, or something's not in place, because we're all feeling a little bit sensitive, it can trigger. So just make sure that if there's a change in school, or if there's a change in your plan, let them know ahead of time. Again, surprises are not great. Again, use positive discipline, and reinforce good behavior. Let them know when you really appreciate them for who they are, what they're doing, and what they present to you in your life that makes a difference. Set aside special time with your kids. It's nurturing. It makes them feel special, no matter what their age is. Get outside with your kids, as I said before. Be creative. Again, have the picnic. Have a scavenger hunt. But keep things moving. Keep things active. We don't want them to get bored. And again, parents, remember to take a breath and time for yourself. And if you're feeling stressed, step away and check in with yourself so you can be the best parent you can be for your kids. And I can tell you, they will notice and they will appreciate it.